Good evening to all of you. Once again, I take this as a privilege to welcome each one of you for our Sambhashane. This is the 18th in the event where we have a scholar, a great scholar who was our great friend. Why both I am using is, though he's senior to me, the amount of knowledge he has gained and the way we move together in the society is something remarkable. Before introducing him, I would like to talk on Sambhashane. As you know, Sambhashane is a cultural event of Samprabha created for the welfare of entire fraternity. In that, Sambhashane is open for all. Why I am telling open for all? Across the globe, there is no restriction. Anyone can log in and attend our programs every Thursday by 7:15. They can log in, or they can look into YouTube channel later on and listen. We are trying to bring the legendary personalities who have shaped our society in science, in arts, in culture, in language, in whatever field they are, which is very essential to bring informed information to our citizens of today. Today, due to virtual culture overtaking, book reading and in-depth study is becoming a kind of a legacy. People hardly study. They say instantly I get the answer through Google. That's the knowledge base they have. Now it is time for us to rejig and reinvent ourselves, reform ourselves to know what exactly is happening in the society through realistic measures. In this regard, we have a great personality today on the board as Professor Sridhar M.K. During trekking times, we have trekked together. In fact, I had done an arduous work of converting his video films, not video, pictures, taken up black and white into color, where sometime I'm able to get him back his glances doing my technological things. So that's the part. And the way we worked in Lal Bahadur Mountaineering Institute for nearly 3 decades, where our B.R. Ramachandra Rao was the secretary, we tried to bring all those luminaries who were excellent trekkers during 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 20, even recently also a group has gone. With that, there, when we talk about the greater heights, physical heights being ventured, in the same way here is Professor Sridhar, with in addition to it, has mesmerized the world by his inventions in yoga. How it is, I'll try to let you know. He is a science graduate from National College, as he has just now spoke. He is a first rank in Sanskrit in 1971. He has won Hirayana gold medal. Mr. Hirayana, Professor Hirayana, is known to the whole world in his English. This one from Mysore University. And he has a MA in English literature, PhD in Sanskrit, and I cannot keep it too long. It will take time. The amount of glorious education he has done and the amount of research papers he has published is innumerable. Recently, he had invited me to his yogic kendra in Jigani, where the Jigani kendra was even visited by Modi. He was the registrar, and he has done so much of research on yoga and science with the stalwarts, their legendary personalities there. It is something to be done there. There I had an opportunity of speaking on intellectual property rights, how it can be utilized to invent. In other words, where science meets intellectuality, there we should listen to Sridhar ji. He has blended both the science and the consciousness or human intervention, how it is. Both of them are how one is a science known, expressed to science, another is unexpressed, our ethical and moral build-up that happens through our Atma. Both are meeting there. Then only there is a complete Vidya. Today I am very, very happy to bring him in And I can go on speaking about him because we
Okay,
have so much of thing. And he has served in so many institutions all over the world. I have given the list. And everywhere he has been a very popular speaker. Now recently he has come to Jain University because he can't travel every day to Jigani. So he was with forcefully was made to come here. And today we are having him here. He is going to speak to us on the culture. The topic I have given, he has given, in fact, he has selected, is very clearly mentioned, concept of Indian culture. Always we think of culture as only something traditional one. No, we have the Kannada, we have the greatest of the greatest scientists, Vaimanika Shastra were there. Because we did not recognize the literature there, we couldn't get the old one. We were simply taken away by others, we can say. They have put some British names and English names, and there we are looking them as the origins. We have forgotten our Aryabhatas. And today we have our president also available. I request him to speak a few words and welcome our honorable guest today. Sir, Mr. G. Narayan Swami Ji.
Basically, I am very thankful to Mr. Kodandaram and Vasudev for running this weekly webinar in a very interesting way and looking for very legendary speakers. Today we have Professor Sridhar, and we have mentioned about his profile already in the WhatsApp message what we have circulated. And we are very fortunate to have him today, and I welcome him. We should not take too much of time. So, sir, kindly floor is yours, and we are all eagerly waiting to listen to you. The concept of Indian culture is not easy for anyone to understand, even for Indians. So that is where your topic becomes very, very interesting. Thank you.
Sir, Sridhar sir, it's all yours
Yeah.
now.
Namaste, sir. Dhanyavadaha. Akhanda mandalakaram vyaptam mena characharam tatpadam darshitam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. At the outset, like the American concept of Thanksgiving Day celebrations, I offer my grateful thanks to my very distinguished colleague, not only in adventure but also in knowledge and academics, to Sri M G Kodandaram, and as well as to the office bearers of the Central GST and Customs Sports and Culture Association, Sri Narayan Swami sir, Vasudevan sir, and all the distinguished members of this association who have contributed significantly for the growth of sports and culture at the India level, as well as in before your retirement, you have significantly contributed for the growth of the country, the revenue of the country, so that India have very, very important. India has become a $5 trillion economy, and as envisaged by economic pundits and including the World Bank and the IMF, we are going to have the 25 to 30 trillion dollar economy when we start celebrating the Amrit Kal in 2047. I am sure each one of you, sir, with your sincerity, honesty, and has done great service to the country by way of enhancing the revenue and increasing the potentialities of the people, so that the average, uh, salary of the Indians has increased by leaps and bounds in the last few decades. So I'm extremely happy and I'm joyful to share some of the thoughts on Indian culture. Special thanks to our friend Sri M G Kodandaram, who has been planning this Sambhashane with all his distinguished colleagues week after week. And as the double entender goes, Sambhashane contains two meanings elaborated. It's glad that it's going to disseminate the Indian knowledge. This Indian knowledge called Bharatiya Jnana Parampara, Indian knowledge system, which has been mooted by the Ministry of Education and Government of India and also by the All India Council for Technical Education. It's being popularized all over India. Means instead of borrowing everything from the West, it is time that we have to unearth and reinterpret and revalidate the remarkable tradition, knowledge which is present in India since the time of the Vedas. So, what do we understand by this concept of the culture? See, the word culture in Sanskrit is called Samskriti. Samyak kritam samskritam. Samyak rightly, kritam done. So samskritam means that which is refined and reformed. So any person who picks up this language, who, if not the language, the literature and the quality and nature of this language and its various branches becomes, a Samskritagnya, and also he is a man of culture, a person of culture. This culture, Indian culture, is very vast and it embraces most of the domains of knowledge. As I explain one by one, you will appreciate the amount of knowledge which was given to us from the times of the Vedas. Actually, now the world famous historians and Indologists such as George Feurenstein, Subhash Kak from India, and also David Frawley, who calls himself as Vamadeva Shastri, have given the date of the Rig Veda as the antiquity of the Vedas as 7,500 to 9,500 BCE, before the Common Era. That means if you add the present 2,000 years of Common Era, it becomes 11,500 years. So what we studied in our high schools when we were students of the social studies was that the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro civilization was the oldest. It was 3000 BCE, isn't it? Means 5,000 years ago. And it got extended as the excavations happened all over India in very many places in Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Shanudaro, Kalibanghan, Lothal, Surkathoda, and the latest Rocky Ghadi in Rajasthan. So we have seen this ancient Indus civilization. Indus, now it's called Indus Saraswati civilization, is one of the oldest civilization in the world, and it is dated now to around 5000 BCE, before the Common Era. We don't use AD BC now, BCE. And this Indus Saraswati civilization is the first phase of the the Indus the phase civilization becomes the beginning of the Indus Saraswati civilization, and that is the last phase of the Vedic civilization. So Vedic civilization now is safely placed at 7,500 BCE. That is the amount of research being done, and there first time we found when they excavated, initially J.J. Marshall, the Director General for Archaeological Survey of India, with his Deputy Director General B.N. Banerjee, when they excavated Lothal, Kalibangan, Mohenjo-daro and other places, they found 3,000 mohurs and seals, and one among them we find the mohr or the seal with the Namaskara Mudra, and also Padmasana. So that obviously shows that the yoga was already there in the Vedic times and represented in the seals and mohurs of the Harappa Mohenjo-daro civilization, now called Indus Saraswati civilization. So our civilization is one of the oldest, which can be compared to the Chinese, the Japanese, the Babylonian, and other Near Eastern civilizations of the world. All date back to around 8000 BCE. So what I'm trying to drive home the point here to this enlightened audience and wonderful persons here is that our civilization, represents the ultimate pinnacle of the civilization of the world compared to other civilizations of the world. So in that we find the culture. For example, let us commence with the Vedic culture. So I have already told you what is this word culture it means. See, the culture basically is derived from the root of the Greek and the Latin word means cultus. Cultus means to cultivate. So just as we cultivate the land, we plow the land with the tillage and other implement through the oxen and other oxes and others, cows and bullocks and others, like that. We go on reviving the culture. So this culture goes on reviving as the centuries advance, as the people advance, as their culture advances. So this culture, in an essence, speaks of the intelligence, buddhi, bhava, the emotion, the behavior, and the taste, and the development of those things. With that comes the delicacy of culture. All this combined together is called culture. So this culture is represented in many ways. In fact, there is a definition of culture which I would like to mention here. See, basically, just a minute, please. See, it means the cultivation of the soil. It gives various shades of meaning according to Webster's New Word College Dictionary as well as Chambers and Oxford Dictionary 2005. So the meaning of culture and the etymology given in those two volumes of dictionary are production, development or improvement of a particular plant, refinement of intellect, emotions, interest, manners, and taste. It also means ideas, customs, skills, arts of a people or a group or a civilization that are transferred, communicated, or passed along as in or to successive generations. So to happen this, so what should happen? So to happen this, the people should live together. For example, the Indus Saraswati civilization people, the Vedic people, the people all over the world. So they should combine and stay in a single place. So they should cherish same type of values. So ultimately, the end products becomes culture. So culture represents the interior of ideas and human values, the greatest human values. It embraces and encompasses religion, philosophy, ethics, society, economy, polity, education, fine arts of a civilization. But in general, you and I know, sir, all of us know, it is the particular behavior of a person is called nature or swabhava. In fact, in the Ramayana, Valmiki says in the Sundarkanda, and it is told through Lord Hanuman, Swabhavo Duratikramaha. It is very difficult to transgress and violate or surpass the basic nature of a human being. But when all these human beings uh, come under one roof, they all stay and share the same thoughts as you have been doing now, with a series of Sambhashane week after week, bringing people from various domains, various cultures and nature. It becomes Samskriti. So a behavior of a group or a civilization is called Samskriti. So Samskriti represents the summum bonum of the culture of the one civilization. And this is represented in many ways. So to quote the complexity of culture from one of the renowned American scholar, Hanneris, in 1992, he gave the modern definition of culture. I quote, there have been times when they have used it to stand for even more, but in the recent period, culture has been taken to be above all a matter of meaning. To study culture is to study idea. Experiences, feelings, as well as the external forms that such internalities take as they are made public, available to the senses and thus truly social. So for culture, in the current anthropological view, is the meanings which people create and which create people as members of society.
That's right.
So culture is what collective in nature. So then we find this culture, started with the primitive people. Where
அப்படியே திரும்பி நீ பாட்டு சொல்லிட்டே இது நான் அந்த பாட்டுக்கு போயிட்டே இருப்போம். ஆமா, பெரியவங்க பேச்சு கேட்கணும், நீ தானே இப்போ சொல்ற.
I think who is this
Some
Mahesh?
disturbance. Mr. Mahesh, can you mute?
I mute the, yeah.
Sir,
Thank you.
please carry on, sir. Sorry for the
So,
inconvenience.
culture is present in an individual, in the family, it becomes a collective culture. Then the culture becomes societal when the entire society comes together. There are folk traditions. Now we have subaltern cultures, racial cultures, culture of a state and a nation. All these combined together becomes multiculturalism. And when a person of a multicultural nature goes to another country, he disseminates his culture and also embraces the good points, good aspects of that culture. It amounts to transculturalism. So when all these transcultural people come and stay under single roof through a world conference, international conferences, cultural exchanges, it becomes a global culture. So that is the real human culture. So culture, as elaborated by H.E. Barnes, I quote, human culture is just as the human mind is the integrating factor in the human personality and its behavior, so the prevailing attitudes in an age are the most important unifying organizing influence in the development of human culture. And this culture, I will give you a very good simple example. See, let us say an orange is there. Orange is grown in a tree. This orange, you pick up and remove the, the peel of it, the skin of it, then put it into the mixie jar, add sugar, add cardamom, add some very tasty things, and transform this into orange juice, and you drink it. It is refined. The original natural orange which was present in the tree was collected by you, and you transform that into a beautiful orange, an excellent tasty orange juice. And that is the real culture. Whereas the orange which was grown on the tree falls down because it is totally ripened, and the rain comes or the animal walks on it and it gets trampled and it becomes vikriti. So it gets modified. It gets, ruined. So what happens is that when human beings are born, they are born with some nature, prakriti. It is called prakriti. Over a period of time, owing to knowledge, environment, education, behavior, interpersonal relationships, movement from one place to another, and all these parameters help in transforming one person from that of prakriti to samskriti. He becomes a cultural person. Whereas some people, you know, become the victims of kama, krodha, lobha. Kama, desire, excessive emotional desire. Krodha, anger. Lobha means greed. So ultimately, they become too much literates, I should say, or too much selfish in nature. On account of that, their nature gets vikriti or deformed. So it is with us only whether we can be transformed into Prakriti. From Prakriti, we can go up to Vikriti or Samskriti. In fact, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, the world renowned Indian philosopher, educationist, who rose to the level of the Vice President and President of India, considered as the greatest philosopher of all time, once while speaking at a convocation to the Punjab University students in 1953 said, Saksharo viparitatve rakshaso sa bhavishyati. If too much literacy becomes, they become perverted. They become perverted, intelligent, and they are more dangerous to the society and to the nation than illiterate, uneducated people. So his message was education should be endowed with character and it should be endowed with knowledge, not just knowledge, because knowledge corrupts and absolute knowledge corrupts absolutely, we know. So knowledge should be transformed into wisdom. So he emphasized on the wisdom, and that wisdom we get by reading the classics of India, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Puranas, the Kalidasa and other classics, and classics in various other genre of literature, languages, we get our mind refined. So that way, Samskriti is extraordinary thing in nature. India is known for its extraordinary culture since time immemorial. In fact, it is represented through physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. The spiritual thing is the ultimate. Then what is the aim of either the Hindu or the Indian culture? As I see, now I get into so many Sanskrit verses here and there. Refinement of character. See, whatever we study, whatever we learn in the schools and the colleges, whatever we learn through our peers, and whatever nurtured by our great parents and our great grandparents or grandparents, etc., by our teachers, is refinement of character. It's called Sheela. Sheela is important. We always emphasize Sheela for only women. No, Sheela should be there for men also. Next, respect to parents, teachers, and elders. This comes in the Taittiriya Upanishad, wherein it is said, Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava. So ultimately, the teacher is imparting this wonderful commandment at the end of his 14 years or his 12 years or 24 years of education. When he leaves the Gurukula, the Guru says, let the mother be goddess to you. Let your father be a god to you. And let your teacher be a god to you. Let the guest be god to you. In fact, I go a step forward and say, Shishya Devo Bhava. Let the Shishyas or the students are our gods and goddesses, because they spread the message far and wide all over the world. When we teach well, when we look after them very well, they become our ambassadors. Next is hospitality to guests, spirit of cooperation. You know, in one of the in one of the verses in the Rigveda, it is said, Ma bhrata bhrataram dvikshan, maswasaram utaswasa, samyancha samyago bhutva, vacham vadata bhadraya. Never a brother should hate a brother. Never a sister should hate a sister. So each of us should be taught, should live happily and equanimously. We should live joyfully, equanimously, with sharing our knowledge, sharing our wealth, and so on. Vacham vadata bhadraya. Let us speak auspiciously. Let us speak mellifluously. Let us speak in a very pleasant way. That was what elaborated in the Shatarudriya mantra of the Yajurveda, when it said, Madhu vadishye, Madhu janishye, Madhu vadishyami, Madhu janishyami. So I speak the truth. I speak pleasantly. I speak like a honeyed words. So that is what the ultimate supreme thing which we have to develop in our culture, that is imbibed in our Indian culture. Then tolerance towards other religions. Please remember the famous speech of Swami Vivekananda on the 11th of September 1953, isn't it? 1853 in Chicago. 1893, sorry, 11 September 1893 in Chicago, where he addressed the entire audience and told that if there is any religion called Mata Dharma, not Dharma, Mata Dharma, religion in the world which speaks of tolerance and patience and sacrifice, it is the Hindu religion, he said. It is Sahishnuta, tolerance, because he gave the example of how 1,000 years ago, when the Palestinians, when the Jews were banished from their own homeland, when they were dispersed, they came to this country, we gave them the shelter. When the Arabs came to this country in search of knowledge, in search of wealth, and we embraced them with open arms. Like that, we have tolerated people from all religions. India is known for its tolerance, Sahishnuta and sacrifice, Tyaga. So this is the hallmark of Indian culture. Hence, India is as we see in the enshrined in the Indian Constitution, it is a multicultural, multilingual, multi-racial country, but still we are one. We are one as Indians, Bharatiyas. We are Bharatiyas. That we should not forget. In fact, uh, G.V. Iyer, who first produced the first Sanskrit film in the world, Adi Shankaracharya, at the time of releasing of that, he said he gave a new interpretation when we called him for the Sanskrit Day address, which comes in the Shravana on a Shravana Purnima day. It comes on that day where all over the world we celebrate Sanskrit Day celebration called Samskrutotsava. We had invited him once. He gave a new interpretation of the word Bharata. See, what we know by the meaning of Bharata, Bharata Sambandhi Bharatam means it is related with Bharata. The Bharata has again two meanings like your Sambhashane. That is, Bharata means sage Bharata, who had 100 sons, who wrote the Natya Shastra, consisting of 6,000 verses. It's a treatise on dramaturgy. He and his sons, 100 sons, ruled this country, therefore it became Bharata. That is elaborated in the Vishnu Purana. But G.V. Iyer gave another meaning. Bha in Sanskrit means to shine. What does shine? It is a knowledge that shines. Knowledge is supreme. Knowledge is ultimate. We usher in knowledge, and people engaged in pursuit of this knowledge. Rataha means engaged. People who are engaged in this Rataha, engaged in pursuit of Bha means knowledge shining, are called Bharatas. So that is Bharata. So we are all Bharatiyas because we are in pursuit of knowledge. In fact, time and again, Swami Vivekananda told that all over the world that India is the only country in the world which never invaded other countries. We were invaded by many countries, and our wealth was plundered by foreign invasions, but we have never invaded anywhere in the world. That is the greatness of Indian culture. That's how a new interpretation was given by G.V. Iyer 30 years ago. Like that, we need new interpretations of our Indian culture. So this culture, how does it get represented? I quote, it is said highest integrity in money matters. As distinguished officers of the government of India, you were earlier with lot of sincerity, with honesty. You have worked, and you have, because most of the time you are dealing with GST, with income tax, customs, sales tax, and so on. How the money matters should be there. It is said in the Panchatantram, Paradravyani Loshtava, the treat others' money as a lump of mud. So that is the aim of Indian culture. And it deals with welfare of many and the happiness of many. Bahujana Hitaya and Bahujana Sukhaya, which promotes ultimately Vishwa Shanti or universal peace. So through which, by practicing This culture, we progress from humanity, from individuality to humanity, from humanity to divinity. So that divinity is present within us. This was elaborated by Swami Vivekananda in his book Raja Yoga. I quote, each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest the divinity by controlling nature, external and internal. Do this either by work, that is, karma yoga, or by philosophy, jnana yoga, or by devotion, bhakti yoga, or by meditation, raja yoga, or all of this and be free. This is the whole of religion. Doctrines are dogmas, rituals are books, temples are forums, or of secondary details. See, he has given the entire essence of the Indian philosophy, the Vedanta philosophy, in this one paragraph. Amazing, isn't it? So that promotes the Vishwa Shanti. So this helps us in knowing our culture. So a culture is generally associated with language because in the world there are 7,500 languages are there. Most of them are getting lost. According to theory of Glasnost, every 100 years, every language loses 80% of words. So that way, if we don't protect our regional language, if we don't protect our language properly through learning, writing, reading, speaking skills, it gets lost over a period of time. So language shapes our culture of people, society, and nation. So a refined language shapes our personality, our family, our society, and nation. So this word culture, this through culture, this Sanskrit language developed. So Sanskrit language is considered a refined and a reformed language because it teaches us refinement of knowledge, refinement of personality. Samyak kritam samskritam. Samyak, rightly, raw, perfectly, kritam, done, refined and reformed. So Sanskrit language and literature gives us the key to Indian cultural, spiritual legacy. So in order to, then I'll give you the culture, the definition of culture, which was given in our one collection of Subhashitas called Nitya Niti in 277th word. It says, Swasthana Parigyanam Parengita Grahanamapi Sarasata Vakyam Atma Niyamanam Prahuhu Samskriti Riti Sat Samanvayatmaka Drushti. So what does it mean? Awareness of
There is somebody speaking. Kindly mute yourself.
I think
Kindly look
Murali.
in.
so
Sir, please continue.
Swasthana Parigyanam, awareness of one's own place. Who am I? What is my position as an officer of the university, of an officer of a state government or a government of India, or a politician or a statesman, whoever it may be. We should know our place. Swasthana Parigyanam. Parengita Grahanamapi. We should have the capacity to know what is there in the mind of the other without he or she expressing it. Sarasata Vakyam. We should speak pleasantly, mellifluously, I have already told about. Swasthana Parigyanam Parengita Granamapi Sarasata Vakyam. Atma Niyamanam Prahuhu. Atma Niyamana. Self-control. We should have the self-control. Then Samskriti Riti Sat Samanvayatmaka Drushti. Samskriti or culture means a noble, equipoise and equanimous attitude. So here there is no person such as low or high, scholar or a dunce, or a rich or the poor, Everybody is sick.
ಅದು ಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ?
ಅದು ಸರ್ ಅದೇನೋ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾ?
So this is what mentioned. This is what mentioned and elaborated in this definition of culture as given. This culture is expressed in many ways, which I will elaborate in the next 5 minutes. First is our Indian culture or Bharatiya Samskriti is expressed in our righteous thought and conduct. So we should be righteous. We should be righteous in nature, means dharmika vyaktis. Dharma means righteousness. Person who follows that dharma is called dharmika vyakti. It has nothing to do with mata dharma, that is religion. So it is beyond. This dharma is beyond religion or mata dharma. So righteous good conduct, that is at the individual level, a family level, societal level, state level, national level, and international level. Next, what type of food we eat? Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter elaborates on 3 types of food: sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Based on that, how people behave. Please read the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It is said when we eat the food as told by Charaka, the oldest Indian physician belonging to 800 BCE, 2600 to 800 years ago. He says, women should note this. I'm sure some of the women, distinguished women, are hearing this. It is said that we should like the color of the food first, varna. Then the smell of the food, what we have should. So the smell first.
Sir, there is some audio disturbance. Will you mute? Please. Will you mute yourself?
So the
Kaushik
first
ji?
thing, first we should like the color of the food. Then comes, from that food emerges beautiful fragrance, which reaches your nose and blossoms your olfactory senses. That is, gandha. Then when this varna and gandha is combined, you take a piece of the food and place it on your tongue, rasa. So it should come in the order varna, gandha, rasa. If women and our household people, if they cook very good food with good color, good taste, everybody likes that food, isn't it? Varna, gandha, rasa. So that is, so we should eat such food which is applicable to us, appealing to us. Then the next is dress. We should wear decent dresses, dignified dresses. That is very, very important, because dress speaks of your personality. How you dress is very much important. Dress, we should give highest importance to dress. In fact, Westerners, as like some of you who have traveled all over the world, I have seen the Westerners are very, very cautious about their dress. They have specific dresses for specific occasions. They do it very well. So we should follow that. Then next comes, the next one is speech. This I have already elaborated. It should be gentle, pleasant, and people should hear this, because tongue is the most dangerous thing. A famous Subhashita says, Jihve pramanam janihi bhashane bhojane picha atyuktihi atibhuktischa sadhya pranapaharini. Means what? Oh tongue, the rishi or the poet is addressing the tongue. Oh tongue, you know the limitations of the food as well as your speech or the language. Do not eat in a gluttonous way. Do not eat too much, and do not speak much. So have control over the food as well as your speech. It is said in, whenever we get up early in the morning, we say this: Lakshmir Vasati Jihvagre, Jihvagre Mitra Bandhavaha, Jihvagre Bandhanam Praptam, Jihvagre Maranam Dhruvam. So, see, at the tip of our tongue lies Goddess Lakshmi. At the tip of our tongue lies our relatives and friends. At the tip of our tongue lies the bondage or deliverance. So our one word, one sentence or one gossiping thing can kill a person. So we should be very, very careful in our speech. Hence, it is said that we should concentrate and speak very well. Yena kena prakarena कोहिनाम अनुजीवति परेशान उपकारार्थम यो जीवति स जीवति. This comes in Subhashitatta Bhandagar. He says a person who lives for himself is more dead than alive. This was quoted by Swami Vivekananda and even John F. Kennedy. So before you ask as to what you are going to do for yourself, or the country is going to ask for yourself as to what the country has done for me, you ask for yourself what you have done, what contribution you have made to this country. That is very, very important. So this, our body is meant for the benevolence of others. Paropakarartham idam shariram. This body is for the sake of others. We should help the needy, the oppressed, and others when we are happy and comfortable. So that way, it is said the speech is very, very important. And with that comes next the prayer. We should offer prayer, and it should be regular, and it is for the welfare of the humanity. We know that Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. We can recite it at the end of this session. And entertainment. See, entertainment should be pleasant to the senses, but unfortunately, the environment, we have destroyed the environment, land, water, air. The animals which came to this world 275 million years ago in the Pliocene period have not destroyed the earth. We came only 3 lakh years ago. We became Homo erectus and Homo sapiens 20,000 years ago, 30,000 years ago, but we have ruined this earth because of our greediness. Look at the 20 most industrialized nations who are consuming 80% of the natural resources of the world. Where are we going? Where are we ending up? Look at the way how the natural resources are being ruined. We go on postponing regarding the carbon footprints, isn't it? From the Stockholm Convention of the Usable and the Renewable Energies from 1952 to the present 2000. I'm just following each 10 years how they are acting and how they are making statement to the latest 2024, the Cancun summit, to reduce the carbon footprints from 2 to 1.5%. They said they would do it by 2030, but now they have postponed it to 2070. See, where do we end up? The animals have never ruined. The birds, which are the highest population in the world, with 50 billion birds are there in this world, and they have lived happily and joyfully. Just yesterday, with my family, I had gone to the film Nilgiris. After a few years, I went to the film Nilgiris, produced and directed by Sandesh Kadur, funded by the wonderful philanthropists Nandan Nilekani and Rohini Nilekani. And the entire team of 18 people showed how wonderful the Nilgiris are and how we are destroying the fauna and the flora of the world. Every year, according to the Red Data Book of the United Nations of the Indian, this Conservationist Naturalist Association of the world, 1 million uh, fauna and flora are under extinction because of the greed of the human. I hope we will promote more and more global welfare and animal welfare in the years to come. That is also a part of our culture. That's also a part of our Indian culture, to protect the environment which is clean and pleasant in nature. So this namaste, I already told you, namaste is a traditional way of greeting people, which was found in the Indus Valley civilization with the Padmasana and so on. And women have been given the greatest, honor in our Indian culture, modified and represented in the form of goddess or Devi. In fact, Shankaracharya says elsewhere, Namatu Paradevata. There is no superior goddess than the mother. Matruvat Paradharani. Look other women as your mother. In fact, he said, Kuputro Jayetha Kojitapi Kumatha Nabhavati. A bad son may be born, but never a bad mother. So that is the greatest honor we have given to women in this country. And this women is worshipped in a divine form as the mother of the universe, as the cosmic couple, Parvati and Shiva, also called as Devi and Goddess, or Lakshmi and Narayana. So that is the very important thing. Another aspect of our Hindu culture is the Indian architecture. You have seen the architecture, Hindu architecture, from the Pak-occupied Kashmir of the Sharda temple to the Kanyakumari in the deep south, from the Somnath temple in the west to the Kamakya temple in the east. What does these temple represent? The architecture of these temple represent the harmony of being, nature and spirituality of symbolism. It is a sleeping cosmic being. The cosmic being sleeps, as told in Bharatiya Vastu Shastra. He also sleeps in our house from the southwest to the northeast. So it is said that when you construct the house, people say you should put more weight on the southwestern region and not in the northeastern region, Ishanya, because that is the place of the god or the Deva Mula. So it is said that the cosmic Purusha sleeps in our house also from south to north, and morning he gets up and looks at the whole family and the whole house and blesses us. So in the same way as he, the cosmic Purusha, he is called the Hiranyagarbha in the Rig Veda, Purusha in the Rig Veda, and that man represents the cosmic divine being of our architecture. So that is represented in our art and culture, and which is represented in the Shiva, the cosmic dance of Shiva, which is none other than the cosmic dance of the universe. And also this culture is represented in the fine arts and learning by goddess Saraswati, who is the very embodiment of knowledge, fine arts and wisdom. And music. And our Indian culture consists of vocal music, instrumental music, and dance. You know that the major divisions in India are Hindustani music of the Kirana and the Gharana style of the North India, and the South Indian Carnatic music. It is full of melody, raga, then rhythm, tala, and emotions, bhava. There are 4,884 ragas in Indian music. And first time it was Bharata Ratna, late M.S. Subbulakshmi, the Diane of Indian classical music, performed in the United Nations General Assembly 7 decades ago. 6 decades ago. At that time, I think I was a young boy of 5 or 6 years. Every Wednesday or Thursday, National High School used to show some black and white films. One day we went there in the evening and saw this beautiful rendering of the Carnatic music by M.S. Lakshmi in the United Nations. We saw that film. So, apart from that, Indian culture is represented through dance. There are various types of dances called Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, Kathakali, Odissi, Kathak, Manipuri, many forms of folk and tribal dances. And this dance consists of vocal expression called Vachika, bodily gestures called Angika, emotive gestures called Bhavika, and dance apparels called Aharya. So all these are all elaborated in Natya Shastra of Bharata. And through 9 sentiments are expressed through that. Shringara Veera Karuna Adbhutahasya Bhayanakaha Bhibatva Raudrecha Rasa Shringara Shrutirujvalaha. Shringara is erotic when the couple and the lovers are in union, and heroic is Veera, pathos is Karuna, wondrous is Adbhuta, comic is Hasya, terrific is Bhayanaka, loathsome is Bhibatsa, wrathful is Raudra, tranquil is Shanta. And all our Indian, classics, Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the poets of various poets, take only these three major rasas: erotic, Shringara, heroic, Veera, or pathos, Karuna. In fact, the entire Ramayana was fashioned when when Sage Valmiki saw a hunter killing a male bird and the female browncha bird, crying in a plaintive voice, which resulted in the Ramayana, where he told Manishada Pratishtam Tamagamaha Shashwati Samaha Yatkrauncha Mitanadekam Avadi Kama Mohitam. Oh hunter, what are you doing? You are overpowered by desire for a moment, and you shot the male bird which was with its female companion. You also attain the same. Then while returning, he thought that was the first Sanskrit verse of the world, of the Ramayana. He said, what is this? Padabadhoksharasamah Tantrilaya Samanvitaha Shokartasya Pravritto me Shloko Bhavati Nanyatha. This beautiful verse which I recited can be sung in a beautiful melodious voice, and it can be played on the lute. The deep sorrow or the melancholy, as referred to by William Wordsworth in his poem Ode on the Intimations of Immortality. The melancholic feeling of my heart poured out in the form of a verse. So that's how Karuna can give you remarkable, poetry. In fact, Swami Vivekananda once defined compassion as that feeling which is aroused in us when we can put ourselves in the position of a sufferer and feel it in the same way. Whenever you read classics of Shakespeare, of Kalidasa, Pampa, Ranna, Janna, or any literature for that matter, you experience the same feelings. Therefore, the greatest British writer and the critic and author Matthew Arnold said once, an experience of an epic poem is the experience of a lifetime. And this is represented in our Indian art, which represents nothing but mental intuition or vision, symbolism, micro and the macro symbolism, model of meditation, dhyana. Look at how Shiva is seated in his Padmasana posture. Physical expression of the art leading to spiritual communion. Nature, ideal conception of beauty. It suggests many things. Mysticism, being, divinity, becoming, as told by world famous Indian philosopher S.N. Surendranath Dasgupta. When I was giving lecture in Harvard University, I met a very renowned, greatest Indian philosopher scholar, the American scholar Diana L. Eck, who was the chairperson of the Department of Religious Studies at Harvard University. She has written a number of books on Indian philosophy, culture, art, and so on. She said about the Indian art, I quote her, many of the deities are fashioned with multiple arms, each hand bearing an emblem or a weapon, or posed in a gesture called mudra. The emblems and mudras indicate the various powers that belong to the deity. So this is what our Professor M. Hiriyanna, a world-renowned philosopher and guru of Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, said about the entire concept of Indian culture and art. I quote, art is indeed a layman's yoga. By the attitude of attachment it evokes, it gives man a foretaste, and albeit momentary, of the supreme peace. And the same was expressed by Ananda Kentish Kumar Swami, who wrote a marvelous book called Transformation of Nature in Art, and he translated Nandikeshwara's Abhinay Darpana into English, collected and compiled various art pieces when the royal and the rich of India before independence were not ready in protecting them, he donated all of them to Boston Museum of Fine Arts in Massachusetts, where they have kept a separate hall for Ananda Kentish Kumar Swami, which I visited way back in 2004. So finally, I'm coming to the end of this lecture, Kodandaram sir, another 10 minutes maximum. The entire culture of India is inextricably compared with the concept of Satyam Jnanam Anantam, which is elaborated in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Taittiriya Upanishad, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. So this culture is represented in a highest form by absolute truth called Supreme Brahman, which Ramanuja, embodies and calls it as the Narayana, Brahman. That is Satya. And the knowledge we get, absolute knowledge, total knowledge, not corrupt knowledge, is Jnana. Through this awakening, we get absolute bliss or joy called Ananda. This Vedantic philosophy of the Upanishad, when transformed into art and nature, is called Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Satyam is absolute truth. Shivam is auspiciousness. Sundaram, you see that beauty, and that is represented in music also by way of sound, heard and unheard. Heard melodies are so sweet, and unheard are sweeter. O ye marchers, follow on. This is what John Keats said in his poem Ode on a Grecian Urn. So he told, beauty is truth, truth beauty, and you appreciate that beauty. So that is the ultimate essence of our culture, which was elaborated in the Taittiriya Upanishad called Raso Vaisaha. Raso Vaisaha, that is represented in nature, and that is Satyam Shivam Sundaram. We have to protect this nature. We have to protect the fauna and the flora of this world, of our India. There were 40,000 tigers in this country in 1900. Our kings and British people and Westerners started killing tigers. It got reduced to 1,200 by 1973, thanks to the then Prime Minister of India, Srimati Indira Gandhi, under the Project Tiger. She started saving tigers because it represents an environment. It is an index of environmental quality. Now, thanks to the protection in the last 50 years, it has increased to 5,200 plus tigers in India. Wherever tiger is there, there are secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, scavengers, and so on. So while protecting a tiger, we protect the entire nature and we protect the livestock. So that is what our attitude should be. So in conclusion, sir, I would like to say that Indian culture, also called Hindu culture, is both materialistic, bhautika samskruti, when we enjoy as the connoisseur of arts, of dance, of music, of literature. We enjoy the bliss of nature. But from that we should not stop there. We should progress beyond and get into the adhyatmika samskriti, means spiritual culture in nature. This physical culture, materialistic culture, leading to spiritual culture, promotes our progression of life. It gives reverence and wholeness for the whole life, animate, inanimate, sentient, non-sentient. It helps in all-round development of our one's personality, physical, mental, emotional, intellectual, creative, and spiritual dimensions of our personality. So Swami Tejomayananda, whom I interacted with in Miami for a few years, has this to say: the beauty of a person does not lie in his physical, educational, or other capabilities, but in his culture, which expresses itself every moment in his day-to-day, in his day-to-day life. So this is what I wanted to convey, sir, and ultimately, I deeply appreciate the organization. You people have joined together, not just after retirement, post-retirement, you are doing an excellent job for giving knowledge to the people of the world, to the children, to promote knowledge and so on, promote culture, promote knowledge, which is supreme and ultimate, which is the hallmark of Indian knowledge. Vade vade jayate tattva bodha. Argument and counter-argument will lead to enlightenment of knowledge. So on this occasion, I offer my grateful thanks to my distinguished colleague, my greatest well-wisher, Sri M G Kodandaram, and to other office bearers of this association, Narayan Swami sir, Vasudevan sir, all the persons, all the other office bearers of this association, and the people who have heard this, lullaby, I should say, this concept of knowledge as I have learned and experienced over a period of time. Namaskar, Dhanyavad.
It was an excellent talk. In a small time, within a smart time, in a capsule, you have given anything. Wonderful thing. I remembered recently Ramabhadrachar in his Jnanapita Award, the ever Jnani Swami said, Rashtra Devo Baba. Now you have added, recently I published a book on memory of my mother. I said, Samaja Devo Baba. No, one more is the Shishya Devo Baba. And that's really shows. So we are thankful to you, sir. Before handing over to our president and to Mr. Vasu for the vote of thanks, I would like to tell about next week's program. Next week, we have an excellent program by Shivakumar GV. He's an youngster, a great Indian philosopher, as well as the modern scientist who has worked in the ITBT. He has started using the tools of our ancient wisdom to develop the personality of our human society. In that way, he has done a lot of experiment, and we are going to have him. He's going to speak on developing personal vision through Purushartha. What is the purpose of life? Through Purushartha means how it should be. He's going to speak. And we have been bringing him for our Nasin to develop the personality and moral culture of our officers. With this, I thank personally and I request our president to a few words, and Mr. Vasu thereon continue for vote of thanks.
Basically, we deeply appreciate your knowledge, your presentation, and the awareness what you have brought among ourselves. In fact, after listening to your talk, I'm little getting scared because the number of Bharatiyas in India are insignificant. Probably your speech should be given in all assemblies and parliament, and it has to be taught to people much widely. Thank you, Sridhar sir, and we are all benefited. Thank you.
Dhanyavad. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Before I formally deliver the vote of thanks, any listeners or participants who would like to interact with sir, can give a couple of minutes to them. Okay.
I am Lakshminarayan. Thank you very much for everything. He has taught us from Vedic time to Bharata Muni, Nyaya Shastra, Yajnavalkya, everything he has taught. And I think he has touched each and every aspect of our culture. But only thing is, we are missing him for, we would have put them for 2-3 hours speech. Only half an hour, 45 minutes is. Thank you very much, sir.
Small capsule. Yes. Thank you. ಭರತರಾಜ್ ಸರ್, ತಾವೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀರಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಇದೆ, ಈಗ ಬೇಡ ಅದು. Series of questions and it may give rise to controversies and unnecessary arguments.
Okay,
so
okay.
I want to meet Sridhar sir personally and discuss with him.
You are
Okay,
welcome, sir.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And good evening, friends. I think that was a wonderful session, and this is a topic which is like an ocean. So when Rajagopalachari, fondly called as Rajaji, when he gave the introductory speech to M.S. Subbulakshmi's Bhaja Govindam and Vishnu Sahasranama, touches upon Adi Shankara. he says about the Advaita, Dvaita and Vishishta. He says, Adi Shankara drank the ocean of wisdom and knowledge as if from one's own palm. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿರೋ ನೀರು ಅಂತ ಕುಡಿದು ಅವರು ಅದನ್ನ ಆದಿಶಂಕರ 32 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡೀ ಭಾರತ ಅಖಂಡ ಭಾರತವನ್ನು ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ತನ್ನ ಒಂದು 32 years ಅಲ್ಲಿ he has given lot of things for the benefit of mankind at the young age, and he has covered by foot. I don't know, ಇದು ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ it is a wonderful thing. So from that the culture, any society, whether it is Indian culture, anything, there must be a base, unwritten law. ಆ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳ ವಿಸ್ತಾರವಾಗಿ ಈ ಒಂದು 45 ನಿಮಿಷ ಒಂದು ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ವಿದಿನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಅಲಾಟೆಡ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಫ್ 45 minutes, sir has touched upon so many topics, and he has also shared his experience of visit abroad to Harvard University and Stanford University, and having met the professors and the enlightened souls of the Western world who appreciated a lot of beauties and excellent things about Indian culture. This is definitely, as Lakshmi Narayan said, is a very big topic to be covered within a short span of 45 minutes. I am sure everybody will agree with that. That was a wonderful session, and sir gave like a flow of a river. He touched upon so many topics. So on behalf of the Samprabha team from the Customs, GST and Central Excise, on behalf of the executive committee of Sambhashane, and all the members and tech team and the president and active participants who are our support, because ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಆಡಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ, everybody is sparing that 1 hour time. The biggest dana according to Tiruvalluvar is, if you give a 1 hour time to somebody, that is the biggest dana. Giving your time to somebody is really a biggest dana. So I thank all the participants who have taken 1 hour of their time, because everybody is having their own priorities. They have given their time. So on behalf of all of them, I profusely thank Professor M K Sridhar sir, who is an educationist and a wonderful person, for having enlightened us in so many aspects. And I wish him all the best. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Shubharatri. Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. Thank you, sir. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ. Thank you.